All right, what's up, guys? Wanted to make this video to kind of provide maybe some hope or some insight to other men in their 30s who are struggling to kind of make ends meet, to really make sense of their lives, to try and find some sort of fulfillment, or, I hate to use the word passion, right? But that gets tossed around a lot these days. And I am certainly not here to give you any answers, maybe to just kind of provide some insight into maybe some corners that you haven't looked into. One of the things that I've realized recently, well, actually, before I even jump into that, let me give you some context into my background. I'm 34 years old. I'm single. I've had successful, or quote unquote successful, relationships in the past. When I say successful, I mean I've been with women who were wonderful women who would have made incredible wives. However, like essentially every pursuit in my life, I squandered it, mostly because I was always looking for the next shiny object. And the same thing goes with careers. All through my 20s, it was never taking a job, because it always felt like if I took a particular job that wasn't in direct alignment with what made me happy or fulfilled, or, if it wasn't something that I was passionate about, well, then it was a waste of time, or I was going to get sucked into it. And it always felt like, okay, if I take a job, this is going to be my job for the rest of my life, right? It was really like a lack of perspective. So anyway, again, here I am, 34. Ended up moving back in with family, which has been just unbelievably difficult to deal with. Just emotionally, being 34, being a man, and living with your family is a very difficult thing to contend with. But anyway, so if you're anything like me, this sounds similar to you, right? You've had multiple different jobs. You've never been able to hold down a job. You've had what seemingly were fantastic relationships, but we're never able to hold those down. Recently, I posted a video about my withdrawal that I've been dealing with Zyn, nicotine, right? And how horrible it was, how much depression and anxiety I've been dealing with. And the anxiety's still there, certainly climbing out of the hole for the most part now, feeling a lot better. But essentially during that time of dealing with anxiety and depression, again, as a result of the withdrawals from nicotine, I started delving deeper into, okay, well, what is the origin of why am I here again? Why am I doing the same thing over and over again and not getting anywhere in life? And Reddit can be both a blessing and a curse, because you can go on there and you can find anything you want. You can find other people that are dealing with the exact same thing you're dealing with. But on the other hand, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because now you can just get lost in these rabbit holes, and you can essentially confirmation bias your way into or out of anything, right? So anyway, I started searching around, like, hey, in your 30s and can't make sense of your life, and trying to find some other people that are in a similar situation and resonate with the situation I'm in. And I've come to the conclusion, now I haven't been officially medically diagnosed, but I have come to the conclusion, based on reading what all of these other people are going through, that I have legitimate ADHD. And I used to think ADHD was a bunch of bullshit. I used to think, well, yeah, I mean, if you take children who should be naturally outside playing and socializing, and you stick them in a classroom under fluorescent lighting for 8 hours a day, of course they're going to have difficulty maintaining focus. Now, that may very well be the case. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. The reality is, it is what it is. Unfortunately, that's how our public educational system works. Many of us had to go through that. And, maybe that is what caused the sort of attention deficit issues that we have. Who knows what the origin is? But what really matters is, do you have that now? And is it getting in the way of you pursuing a life that fulfills you? And I came to this conclusion recently, and again, this is really just a video to kind of provide some insight and to help any other men who might be struggling with a similar situation. So I have set out some steps, right, for myself. Now, with ADHD, it's very difficult to follow through with any plans. So what I just said is, instead of thinking of the future so much, just think of the next step. What is the next step? And what I've determined is, my next step is to find a job I am in debt. I have about 4 years of back taxes. So it's a really bad situation, but I can sit around and mope about it and look back in 5 to 10 years as the interest and debt accrues and continues to build up over time, or I can take action now. So regardless of whether you're 28 watching this, you're 35, you're 40, doesn't matter, because it's just like that saying, when's the best time to plant a cherry tree? 2 years ago. When's the next best time? Right now, right? So all I can do is really take action now. Okay, ADHD brain working, right? I just started something and then I kind of backtracked. So my first step is find a job, 9 to 5, 40-hour work week. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as there are benefits. Then the next natural step is, now I have medical care, because I started looking into Adderall, into Vyvanse, all of the Concerta, Ritalin, all that stuff. And out of pocket is like $500 to $600 a month. It's complete bullshit. And it actually kind of turned me into a little bit of a socialist, in the sense of like, from a standpoint of universal healthcare, because I realized, like, this is insane, man. Like, if you have a mental health issue, or any sort of chronic or acute health issue, people should have access to these resources. So anyway, number one, I thought, okay, well, I need to get medicated in order to like really move the dial in my life. But I thought, okay, I can't afford that. So what's the first logical step? Get a job, get good benefits, then get the medication and establish the routines. Because that's what I've learned that a lot of people have talked about with ADHD is I certainly don't want to be medicated forever. It's not something I want to have to rely on. But what a lot of people have said is that it allows them enough clarity and focus to start building or instilling new habits and routines and patterns in their life, to where eventually you can start to slowly taper off the medication, and now you have these new behavioral patterns that you've created. That's what I'm hoping my experience will be. So anyway, I'm going on a tangent here, almost 8 minutes. I just wanted to make this video for men out there who are struggling emotionally, having feelings of low self-worth, and most importantly, have seen the similar patterns in their lives as the patterns that I've observed in my own, which is an inability to make any sort of decision. And it's not even that it's a lack of ambition. It's actually too much ambition. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've come up with just a world-changing, brilliant idea. I'm like, this is it. This is going to change the game. And a week goes by, 2 weeks go by, and I'm just overwhelmed. And, I always said, if the perfect job for me would be to be a consultant. You come to me, you need ideas, you need insights, boom. Like, here you go, take it. You worry about delegation and administrative work, and, you worry about the architecture of the business. I'll just give you the ideas. Like, you just pay me to give you ideas. I can do that all day long. So anyway, guys, I hope this helps you. If you are struggling, know that there are resources out there that you're not alone. There are an insane amount of adults that are, in some of these subreddit accounts, there are people in their 50s, 60s that are just now being diagnosed with ADHD, and they live their lives, like not realizing how enslaved they were to their limited neurochemistry. And there is help out there, and I'm not telling people to go out and get medicated. I'm just sharing my story, my conclusions, my insights. That doesn't mean they're right. But you're not alone. I love you guys, and it kind of gets me emotional, because unless somebody's struggling with it, unless somebody's dealing with these issues, people from the outside can't understand what it feels like to go through this. Like, when I try to explain to my dad the depression, the anxiety, because he's never actually like experienced it from like a neurochemical perspective, it's kind of just like, well, like I've had hard times in my life and I've had to like kind of push through it, like we all get anxious about the future. It's like, dude, it is not even the same. Like, you can't even comprehend. It's like telling somebody who's missing an arm to pick up the glass of water, dude. What are you doing? Just like think about it and pick it up. Like, to you, it makes sense. But to the person who doesn't have the fucking hand to pick up the glass of water, they're like, dude, you don't understand. I can't. I'm thinking about picking up a glass of water. There's no hand to pick up the water. Oh, anyway, guys, I hope you get something out of this. If anything, like some encouragement. This is rock bottom. Like, these past few months have been rock bottom. But hit rock bottom, and now I'm starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel, and just understand that there is a way through. There's always a way through, no matter how dark it might seem. I love you guys, and let me know if if these videos help you. If there's anything else you'd like me to chat about, talk about, just go ahead and drop them in the comments.